Hey guys, Zen here, and before we get started, we've got 2 rules of business to take care of. First off, YouTube tells me over 70% of you guys who are watching my channel aren't subscribed, and so here's the sub count. Remember to subscribe to my channel and turn on post notifications. So yeah, subbing to the channel is like sliding cash into your wallet. You'll always have it for when you need it, which actually perfectly gets us to the second run of business here. A better wallet for that cold hard cash, and today's video sponsor, the Ridge wallet. The Ridge is a new kind of wallet designed to be slim, minimal, and to keep all of your important items protected, so you know you'll always have them ready for when you need them. Your old wallet is typically leather and folds in half, and sometimes you've got this obtrusive bulge out of your back pocket, but the Ridge is simply 2 metal plates linked together with an elastic band, and it just makes the whole process much cleaner and less cluttered. And so guys, if you click the link at the top of the description, you'll receive 10% off your order when you go to ridge.com/zen and use code ZEN at checkout. There are a ton of unique colors, including a carbon fiber variant that I use personally, and once you purchase, your Ridge is guaranteed for life, and so this one stays with you. Guys, upgrade your wallet down below and enjoy 10% off with code ZEN, and of course, thank you to Ridge for supporting our video. So guys, this video is going to begin with potentially the most controversial cosmetic of all time for Rainbow Six Siege. Just watch this. So, Dokkaebi's Electrobeat Elite has been released, and this has been one of, if not the most controversial cosmetic we've ever had. On one side, there are people who just aren't fans of this, like, at all. The biggest issue seems to be the fact that the MVP animation, the dancing, just doesn't feel like Dokkaebi, and also that it's just not something that should be a part of a super tactical game like Rainbow Six Siege. And at first glance, I get that. But on the other side, it's absolutely humiliating. Imagine it's a 4-4 round. The entire match has been super sweaty, and unfortunately, the opposing attackers take the win. Dokkaebi is the MVP, and so you now have to sit through her actually breakdancing and celebrating taking your precious ELO away. Personally, it just makes perfect sense. Not to dig too deep, but there really isn't another operator that's getting jiggy with it overtaking your MMR, and to those that stay for the animation, it's either rubbing salt in the wound, or it might just make your day. And so, with that said, I actually really like this Elite skin. My 2 favorites are still Rook for defense and Zofia for attack, and I think these more personality-driven elites definitely add a little more character to Rainbow Six Siege. Next up, Ubisoft have made another absolutely huge patch to the test server, and they're introducing some new upgrades to a few operators. First, the headliner. Maestro will now have access to the 2x scope on his ACS-12 primary. Now, for those that haven't kept up, the ACS-12 was recently changed over to a slug-style shotgun. It no longer acts like a regular shotgun. It's more like Goyo and Kaid's TCSG, and feels more like a single-shot DMR. Prior to this change, the weapon had an actual 1% pick rate on both operators, and even after the change, it hasn't seen too much of a jump in popularity. It is a surprisingly lethal weapon now, and I think giving it this sight option specifically for Maestro will help make it a little bit more viable. Maestro losing the ACOG on the Elda was the most recent tragedy that hit this operator, and I think the top recommended change was to swap it over to the ACS-12 because he fits the criteria of being a 3 armor on defense, and the ACS-12 could use the range of an ACOG. And so, no, it didn't get the typical 2.5 ACOG, but the 2x is basically perfect, and at least for me, it will be something I try to work with. Alibi also received a new scope on her ACS-12, but it's the 1.5x variant. Of course, Alibi is a 3-speed, and so she'll probably never get anything higher than this as far as zoom, but again, the ACS-12 is the perfect DMR style shotgun that could really benefit from a change like this, and so both of these operators now have another viable option in their loadout. Both the MX4 Storm and the Elda are incredible weapons, but I think this change shows just how versatile these new scopes make the meta, and how effective simply giving one scope to a weapon can be to an operator. Now, Mozzie has also received the 1.5x on the P10 Roni, and it's his first and only change for the new season here. Neither his Commando or Roni were seeing any new sight additions, but it looks like the devs want to test out giving Mozzie a little more range, at least with his Roni. Now, Mozzie has always had 2 amazing weapons, and even though I've always preferred the Commando, I think it just hits like a truck, the Roni is the faster fire rate, really high mobility SMG for this operator, and it seems like the devs look to this style of weapon when it comes to the new 1.5x scope. Mira's Vector and the Roni have very high fire rates, and they both now have the addition of the 1.5, but the trade-off is the magazine size for these guns, and it helps to balance them out. You do get the increased range, but you also have to constantly reload and reacquire your target, and so you don't really have that suppressive fire of the assault rifles on attack. I am really happy that Mozzie is getting an upgrade here because he was starting to feel a little out of touch with the meta, and hopefully more people give the Roni a place in their loadouts because it is a phenomenal part of his kit. Lastly, Hibana is receiving the 2.5 traditional ACOG back on her Type 89. So when I first got my hands on this season, this was the one change that I really wasn't a fan of. There's no denying that the Type 89 is an absolute monster of an assault rifle, but it does have its balance. Out of all the attacking rifles, this weapon has one of the smallest magazine sizes, and it also doesn't output that much damage per bullet, and so you will have to master the recoil to get those headshots or clean out a mag to finish off an enemy. Now, in total, Hibana does have a ton of utility, but the backbone of her loadout is that Type 89, and it just works so perfectly with the ACOG that it honestly surprised me that they decided to remove it. But in this latest update, she gets it back, and I know a lot of you guys who play a lot of Hibana are looking forward to this, and so hopefully it's here to stay and can keep this operator consistent in the meta. Hibana and Thermite keep the ACOG where Ace trades it out for a 2x scope, and so he is now the only hard breacher without the traditional, and hopefully it balances things out here. And so moving on, we have a few quality of life upgrades that we haven't spoken about yet. The first is an update to MMR, and it's actually game changing. Now, the absolute minimum MMR that you'll either win or lose is 25. So if you grind ranked all season long and you play through your placements, you push through the ranks, and you basically keep going through the entire season, over time you begin to get less and less return on investment. For instance, right now in Steel Wave, I've logged over 250 ranked games, and I'm only getting 15 to 18 ELO up or down based on the enemies I'm playing against. This is the case season after season, and it's a loop that just makes it so difficult to stay invested long term, because you know, if you didn't have an amazing first 40 games or so, you might just stay stuck in the rank you're in because you're just not gaining enough MMR to get to that next goal. Well, now once you burn through those high MMR games, you'll only ever drop down to winning and losing 25 MMR, which will help big time in that late season grind, and higher ranks will basically always be within reach. Now, every 4 games won will basically always mean a 100 ELO increase, and with those kinds of gains, you will eventually rank up if you're skilled enough. It's a change that I think will make playing ranked more long-term worth it, and for me, it's everything. The other change actually comes to casual, and it's the removal of vote to kick. So in the early days, vote to kick was something put in place if you had a teammate who was super toxic, constantly killing teammates, or in the worst cases, throwing the game by texting in all chat and giving away your positioning. It was also something that helped remove cheaters from the match by voting them out. But naturally, with this system being so easy to initiate, it ultimately ended up being a nightmare for certain solo queue players that ran into a team of 4 that could vote out because you're having a bad game or they just want the lobby to themselves. It actually happened a lot. And so there really is no clean way to keep it in the game without these kinds of exploits happening, and so the devs will be doing away with it. This system has never really been in ranked, and so personally I haven't really been affected by it too badly, but I have seen some content creators get voted out just for being content creators, and it is frustrating. These smaller updates help fine-tune the experience, and it really helps with the quality of matchmaking, and they're honestly some of the best updates that aren't usually what's hyped up, but always leave a positive impact. Last up here is something that we've yet to really dig into on the channel, and we just have to because it's one of the most anticipated updates of Operation Shadow Legacy, and it's the reinforcement pool for the defenders. Now, I wanted to bring this up for this video because this is causing a massive shift in how defense gets set up, and also there's been some people who aren't fans of it, and I've been asked a lot about my general thoughts, so here we are. So for me, the reinforcement pool is personally what I think is the biggest change on defense in Year 5 Season 3. Beyond the removal of ACOG or the buffs and nerfs to the operators, the reinforcement pool makes the job of the roamers more simple and less time crunching. It streamlines being an anchor, and I think more walls will go up as a result because you have the counter displayed on screen, so you know exactly how many are left. The only issue I've been hearing is that it's causing some players to feel like they're in total control of how the site is set up, and it's also kind of making those who aren't hanging out on site feel like they're beyond putting up reinforced walls. Now, the whole reason every operator used to have 2 of them is so that as a team team, you collectively put them up, which held everyone accountable and also helped make setting up faster. And to be honest with you guys, that still does apply here. Sure, you may not be hanging out on site, and if you're a cav or a vigil, it probably is best to just make a quick rotation and go find a spot to get comfortable on a roam. But if that is the plan, you really should communicate that with the team, and the other 4 should still be putting up walls. If you leave it to just one guy, which has definitely been a call out in the test server, it takes far too long to put them all up, deal with the hatches, place the barbed wire, and do whatever else without the help of teammates. Even just 2 guys will usually bleed out of the prep phase, and so I think this is still something that needs to be worked out round after round and figured out. More than anything, this is a convenience update that should actually make setting up a little faster, but everyone still needs to do their job and make the most out of it to get the best effect. But that's the end of our video, guys. If you guys did enjoy it, drop a like, and be sure to check out at Ridge with code ZEN to get 10% off your order. If you are new, subscribe with those notifications turned on, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.